I had a moment where I was like, shoot, like, is this the end? Can I do this sport anymore? It does feel sweeter and just like very grateful. Just like I was afraid this was disappearing. So I'm now like very grateful that it's continuing. And like I said, like, it's not like I'm in the clear. So every race that like I managed to like train for, and every race I managed to like finish, especially any race that I managed to have a good race, it's like, okay, like none of those things were guaranteed. And so like I'm really grateful that they were able to occur.
Welcome to For the Long Run. We explore the why behind what keeps runners running long, strong, and motivated, and how they've been able to achieve sustainable excellence. I'm your host, Jonathan Levitt, and we're so glad you're here. This one's for a specific crew, pun intended, and you'll know if it's you. If you're headed to Western States this year, and especially if you're going to be out there pacing or crewing a runner, I want you with us Thursday morning before the race. We're doing a shakeout run with a maze fit in Olympic Valley, easy miles, nothing heroic, just shaking the legs out before the big weekend. And a maze fit is taking care of coffee and bagels. Western States is the runner's day, but you and I both know the truth. The race gets run on the backs of the people supporting that runner, the pacer pulling them through the dark miles, the crew at the aid stations who somehow have the exact thing you need before you know you need it. That's the community I want in one place Thursday morning before the chaos starts. Amazfit is along for it, and if you've been curious about their watches, the pacer mapping is useful for keeping your runner on course when it counts. So if you're going to be at Western States, pacing, crewing, or just in the area, and you want to start the weekend right, come find us Thursday morning in Olympic Valley. I've got a limited number of their new Cheetah 2 Ultra watches to share with runners who are crewing or pacing or supporting. Reach out to me directly and I'll make sure you have all of the details on both items. This episode's brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration, who just dropped a watermelon chew, and the story's a good one. They built it with Rachel Entrekin to beat flavor fatigue, and she used it in fueling her winning run at the Cocodona 250 this year. 30 grams of carbs per pack, and trust me, they're delicious. I got to try them already, and they're delightful. 2 ways to get them. If you're at TrailCon, come run with us and Amazfit on Thursday at 7:30 in the morning from Coffee Bar and try the chews before they're even out. Or find the watermelon stall by the Precision Stage in the Event Village. Not in Tahoe? They go on sale on Tuesday, June 23rd at precisionhydration.com. Use code LONGRUN26 for 15% off. And welcome back. We have Zach Miller joining on For the Long Run. Zach, this has been a conversation I've been wanting to have for years. So excited to have you on here.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so we went for a run up the Manitou Incline in 2018, and we had dinner afterwards. And you were logging some pretty big weeks at the time, and I was just getting into trail running and learning about trail running. And I asked you a question about like, why are you doing this? And you put your fork down and talked for 10 minutes. And after that answer, I was like, maybe I should start a podcast. So we've come full circle, and the question I've started asking lately on this podcast is, who is Zach?
Man, you're asking a lot of people about me then, I guess. No, I'd be curious to know what they said. I don't know. I guess I'm just like a guy that likes to run but also likes to do a lot of other stuff too. I'm an East Coast guy, grew up in the East Coast, studied engineering on the East Coast, wandered my way onto a cruise ship, found my way into ultra running, have kind of had just like a very non-traditional lifestyle of living everywhere from a cruise ship to an off-grid cabin to a bus to a now kind of part-time in a bus, part-time in a house, also building a house. I guess I'm sort of like a jack of all trades maybe, who just like likes to do a lot of running in addition to all that other stuff. So yeah, I think I'm kind of hard to fit in a box. I'm just me, and I just try to be me.
I love that.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, I love that answer. One of the things we were talking about back in Manitou Springs, I was so curious about how people run so many miles, and like I said, I was just getting into learning about ultra running and learning about trail running more broadly, and I asked you something to the effect of like, how do you do it, or why do you do it? And you were running, I think at the time, 150 miles a week. Maybe you are, at this point as well. It takes a lot of things to enable that type of performance. What is it about that volume of work and that intensity that you run that really stokes the fire for you?
Yeah, I think mostly I just really like to run. I enjoy the rhythm of it. I enjoy the places I go while doing it. I really enjoy the feeling of being fit and strong and just being able to go out and do stuff. It's just kind of part of my lifestyle. It helps me feel productive and I guess like successful in a way. It makes me feel like I've done something for the day, if I've ran. But I just really enjoy it. Like I've told people before, like I run a lot. I mean actually like this year, um my total run volume I would say has actually maybe been a bit lower this year. I've had some big weeks, but I have not been like staying up at those super high weeks for too long this year. Um, Weeks that I've strung together consistently at really high volume has been like a mix of running and other things. So like lower volume run and then like a bunch of extra hours like skiing and cycling and things like that. But yeah, I just really enjoy it. But like yeah, in the past I've been like pretty big volume junkie and I've kind of explained to people I'm like, yeah, I might I don't know if it's ideal to train that much, but I enjoy training. So like, when you start getting like trying to be like the best athlete you can be, you can get to this point where it's like, well, actually, like maybe I should hold back, maybe I should pull the reins a little because like I know I enjoy it, but it might actually not be like the best for optimal performance to like train that much. But that's up to you how you want to do it. Like I think I was always also kind of like, well, I like it, so I don't know if it's hard to know what's the 100% most ideal way to train. Um, and I probably lean a little more towards like the volume side at times simply because I enjoy it. Um, but recently I've been holding the reins a little more and I actually like getting like I don't know. I like having some extra time. I like having some extra quality maybe in my runs. And yeah, I don't always feel like I need to be out there for like half the day training.
Has the carb revolution kind of influenced your ability to spend more time out there and feel better as time goes on, or has that always been a part of your routine?
Well, yeah, hearing the carb revolution is kind of funny to me. I'm still sort of like not quite sure what to make of all that carbohydrate excitement, you might say, that has been circulating lately. I mean, what I would say to that is like I've always been a huge eater my whole life. Like I remember as a little kid, somehow I grew up with like hearing these stories of my dad and how much he could eat. I think as my dad got older, those were maybe the reputations of his 20s and 30s, and I think as I got older, obviously my dad also got older and he maybe didn't live up to that reputation as much, but I remember growing up hearing those stories. And so like kind of funny to think about, probably one of the best things that happened for me as an athlete was that I grew up with this, I don't know if you say culture or this like
Role model.
impression or that like it was like admirable or like kind of cool to be able to eat a lot of food. you know like we'd be on like trips with the youth group and we'd almost like compete to see who can eat the most sandwiches at lunch, and stuff. Yeah, I think as like for a kid who was really active and who really liked sports and who eventually found his way into endurance sport, probably one of the best things that happened to me was to grow up with that mindset of like it's a good thing to be able to eat a lot. And I was always kind of proud of my ability to eat a lot, and so I've always been like a big eater. I did go through some phases of like, oh, I'm not gonna eat sugar. These like healthy phases where I was like, and they may have not been so healthy because I was restricting things like sugar. Where I like still ate, but I didn't eat like sweets. And I look back on that, I was like, I probably didn't need to do that. But at least through my whole like through the majority of my life, I've pretty much always been a big eater, even though my habits have changed in some ways throughout. But yeah, so, but I mean, right now, I mean, for me, I guess with the current, like, sort of what you're asking, about is now the eating is like a lot more targeted, like in training and in racing. And I've kind of been toying with that for a long time, practicing nutrition, kind of toying with how much I can put in and whatnot. And now lately it's not so much a goal of like how much can I put in. It's more like my current game, in a world where it seems like everybody's kind of like, well, you have to do more and you have to do more, you have to do more. I'm like, no, you don't just have to do more. You have to do what works. And right now I'm trying to like understand my body and figure out like what works and have like a more mature, like sort of understanding of the system rather than just like a spreadsheet I'm trying to follow. Like there might be a strategy, but a nutrition plan I think needs to be like adaptable because it's gonna depend on like effort levels, altitude, heat, like all of those things can like, I think can impact it. So my wife is a dietitian and we talk a bunch about like nutrition and strategy and stuff and it's really, and I'm not saying that I have it dialed in, but right now I'm like kind of not so much on like I just need to do more. I'm just like I need to figure out what the right amounts of things are, what the ratios are, and how I adjust those as conditions change, and sort of like where my range is. Because like what we're finding is like I can go out runs and be like at this level and actually have a good run, and I can go out at this much higher level and also have a good run. And we're also so we're kind of like, well, that's good because like in a race you might need to be like over like this level might not work all race, so it's good to know that I can kind of like still perform at a high level over like a variety of like carbohydrates per hour or liters per hour or things like that.
Yeah, I think more broadly, I've heard the saying, there's no such thing as overtraining, just under fueling. And, when you're putting up the miles like you're putting up, you kind of have to be a competitive eater just to not get injured and to feel good on a day-to-day basis. I was laughing at the pride in eating as much as you can. I went to hockey camp growing up, and we did it at a college campus, and we would go to the dining hall, and we would have chicken nugget eating competitions at lunch, which was
Hmm.
not ideal knowing we were skating like 30 minutes later, but I put down
Yeah.
50 chicken nuggets one day, and I was pretty pretty proud of
Yeah,
that.
that's not bad. Yeah, I mean, some days it is like a bit of a job. I don't know. And even like I'm not say perfect at it. Like a lot of times I eat a decent breakfast, a decent carbohydrate heavy breakfast, but then a lot of times I train like in the middle of the day, so there's a lot of days I honestly don't really eat lunch. I just like because I'm out training and I'm just like guzzling calories on the run. And then I come back and I eat like a big dinner. Jess, my wife, I think she kind of knows that, and she'll be kind of like, "Well, we need to get like a lot of calories in this dinner because like I know you kind of just like drink sugar throughout the afternoon, So we got to get some like nutrition in you." Or the other night we just got back from a little training trip to Moab, and we went to dinner at night, and then after we were leaving, like I ate this like big piece of prime rib and this baked potato and this asparagus and a salad, and I was like pretty full when we left. But I trained really hard that day, and she was like, "Are you?" She's like, "Do you think you need dessert?" Like, and I was like, and normally I would jump on dessert, but I'm like, man, I'm like full, and I'm like, "Do you think I need dessert?" And I could kind of sense that like one maybe
She
she
wanted
wanted
dessert.
dessert, but I think also she was like concerned about like me and like getting enough in. So we like I pulled a U-turn and we drove back down the road and went to Wendy's and I got like a large frosty and like and then of course classic fashion, right? Like as everybody says it, she's like, "Well, can I just have a few bites of yours?" And I'm like, and I'm kind of like, what the point of this was like get more calories in me, and now you're gonna take it from me. I'm like, how about do you want to get your own? So she ordered her own, and then I ate this whole frosty, and then I think in the end I was like, yeah, I probably should have just shared with you because now I'm like really full, but But we went to bed, and the next day, like it had been a big training day that day, and I got up the next day and I actually had a good run, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad you made. I was basically like, I'm glad you made me eat that frosty. So, and she didn't make me, but it was like at her suggestion. So she keeps an eye on me. Like even though I love to eat, like she'll still be like, maybe we should get some more in there.
I did a podcast with Dr. Teddy Bross, who's a pretty good runner himself, but also a concierge doctor here in the Boulder area. And he walked through some of the data around like 44% of women and 48% of men are runners are under fueling. And so that's like half of the people listening to this. And you're talking about the other end of the spectrum of like, you're going for the dessert, you're doing the thing, and you wake up and you feel awesome. And so it's like, there's such a culture of less is more sometimes. And I think we're finally seeing the reversal of that. And like my first experience with higher carb fueling and eating enough and doing this, like I would wake up and I wouldn't feel exhausted and I would sleep well and all these
Mhm.
things that just like make you feel like a fully functional human, are aided from having the fries, having the shake, having the, you know, eating all your fruits and vegetables. But if you're just eating fruits and vegetables, you're not getting enough dense food to power all these miles. So it's cool to see the reversal of, everything needs to be perfect all the time to many people just need to eat more. And if you just eat more, you'll feel better.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we'd pull like Jess into into this
Right.
podcast. Like, she knows all the science of like this stuff as a dietitian, and I think we always have to be a little careful how we talk about food. Like, it's just like the world is very gray. It's not black and white. It's
Right.
not necessarily that like it's always the more the better, or because you can go both directions, right?
Right.
Or like, oh, just like eat McDonald's all the time because it's high caloric content. No, like nutritional content still matters. Like it's
Sure.
good to get healthy foods in there. It's hard to get all those calories on just salad. It doesn't mean don't eat salad, but like make sure you're getting like your nutritional content, and then you're also getting like your dense like carbohydrate sources and things. Yeah, there's not like a one set thing. It's just like make sure you're feeling right. And I think like in the past, like as like a high school and college athlete, it was kind of like you tended to get restrictive about things like, oh, like because I don't want to weigh like 1 pound more, like, and you're kind of splitting hairs, and in the process of splitting hairs, like you're maybe missing, like I just feel like it's more dangerous to be missing something than to have a little too much of something.
Totally.
Like if I ate a little bit
Totally.
too much McDonald's, I don't know, like I'm not a dietitian, but like if I eat a little bit too much McDonald's or a little bit too like unhealthy food, I just feel like that's still probably less dangerous than what eating like too little food.
Right.
Um, so yeah, like still good, shoot for good nutrition, but just like make sure the volume of food is enough to support the training load and like what you're doing.
Quick heads up, if you want to support the show, we've got paid subscriptions at $8 a month or $96 for the year. If you go annual, you'll get a For the Long Run hat while they last, plus some goodies from our partners. It helps us invest in higher quality production and rely less on ads so we can keep the show focused on the conversations you care about. Check it out at forthelong.run/subscribe, and thanks for listening. This episode is sponsored by Boulderthon, and if you're mapping out your 2026 road race season, this one deserves an early spot on the calendar. Boulderthon is more than a single race. With a 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon, and kids races, it's an ideal weekend whether you're hunting a PR or towing the start line for the very first time. Use code FTLR2026 to take $20 off your half or full marathon. And the fun doesn't stop at the finish line. The whole weekend is a big celebration of running, Colorado, and truly great humans. You won't want to miss it. Visit boulderthon.org to register and use code FTLR2026 for $20 off. Huge thanks to Boulderthon for putting together such a fantastic community event. All right, let's talk more about running. So one of my first ultra experiences was doing the marathon relay. Sorry, one of my first trail experiences was doing the marathon relay at the 2016 North Face 50. And I was finishing my 10K while you and Hayden were battling it out for the front of the 50 miler, and you both blew my doors off as I was running 6 miles and you were finishing your 50th mile. And so many of us in the trail world have watched that video, and we've watched that showdown take place. That was 10 years ago. Are you thinking about the fact that that was 10 years ago, and now you both are at Racing Western States coming up here in a couple of weeks, and how impressive the durability is that you're both still competing at the highest level 10 years later? Like, talk to me about kind of how you're feeling heading into the race.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm grateful for that I've been able to be here competing, like this for this amount of time. I'm like by far not the oldest guy in the sport. Like, there's so many guys like that have come before me that are either like the same age but have just been doing it like, they started 10 years before me. Like, like Killian was, I feel like he was established like
Yeah.
superstar when I was like in college, and I was still like 3 to 5 years away from even entering the sport, and he was already like the man, and we're about the same age. Or guys like Bronco Billy, or even like Anhan Krupicka, who I know we don't see race a lot anymore, but is still like very active in the endurance world, and we see him pop into an ultra every, from time to time. Um, like there's just so many guys who do have like more years in the sport than me, but yeah, I guess I have quite a few, and to look back, it's like it feels very good to be like still here 10, 12 years later, whatever it is. I guess it also feels very good because in ways it feels like the sport has changed a lot. Sometimes I have to step back and be like, has it changed that much, or do we just hype it up and make it seem like it's changed that much? Like, I have to step back sometimes. I'm like, are we that like? Because I think it's really easy for us to create the dialogue of like, oh, it's younger, it's faster, it's more focused, it's more dialed, and then I have to kind of step back and be like, but is it like? Are the North Face 50 times from 20 16, 17, 18 or whatever, are they that much different from what we're running now, even though we're not running that race anymore? Um, and that's probably like you could go around and around on that. I think generally we are breaking course records. There's also some records that we probably still haven't broken yet. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think the main thing that's happening now is like this field is getting deeper.
Yeah.
It used to be like you showed up like that North Face 50 race. Hayden and I went out. We ended up like mostly alone, the two of us, and we were away from the field. Hayden and I just raced Canyon's 100K. We went out. We were a pack of, I'd say, like 10 to 20 deep for like
Right.
20 miles. And I was like, and that I think is a good kind of perspective of like, I was in both those races and I was running the second one, Canyon's 100K this year, being like, this is kind of crazy. Like, this wasn't what it used to be like. We weren't 20 deep for like 20 miles with like 10 guys that I'm like worried about all of them, like, or maybe more. It was like, no, a couple of us broke away and we separated, and then we raced each other the rest of the day, basically. Um, and now it's like much deeper. I think we are getting faster to some degree. UTMB times are coming down. Leadville times are coming down, Western States times are coming down, but they're also getting deeper. Now it's what, like the whole top 10, whole top 5 at Western States cracks 15,
Right.
or maybe more. So
Or like the top
yeah,
10 women are beating the top 5 women's
yeah,
times are
yeah,
beating the
and the
men's
women,
times from 10 years ago.
exactly, exactly. So, and like, yeah, the women are definitely like making some big strides. Um, so yeah, amidst all of that, seeing all of that, it feels really good to still be here and be like going into canyons being like, I don't know if I still like have this in this day and age of the sport, in this style of racing. And then to be able to do it and punch my ticket, because in the past it was kind of like, oh yeah, I'd like to run Western States, and I could not to sound like, I don't want to sound cocky, but be like, I could probably get a golden ticket. And now this year I was like, well, I'm going to try for a golden ticket, but there's no guarantee. And also this, I should try this year because like this year and every year after, there's like no guarantee whatsoever that I will get one. So it was like, I'm going to try. Um, and before the clock ticks anymore. And and if I get it, I should probably run it because there's no guarantee I'll get back in. So yeah, so it feels good to like still be here. So yeah, it'll be fun to go and have Hayden in that race at Western and along with all those other guys and yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, Hayden and I have had some like good days of like kind of bringing out the best in each other. So if that happens at Western, that would be great. But yeah, hopefully his training's going well and we can get out there and both enjoy some good miles on the course.
Do you think that the fact that these races are 10, 20 deep, so deep into the race, is one of the components of why we're seeing such faster times, right? Like you're a really competitive person. Hayden's a really competitive person. There are a lot of competitive people out there. And we used to see a lot of people just kind of running away with it, like you were talking about back in 2016. And now, like, people are leading from the gun going up the escarpment and they're gunning it at these golden ticket races right from the jump. Like how much of the drop in times and the increase in competition is coming from the fact that these fields are so deep and you can race each other right from
Yeah,
right from the jump.
I mean, I think competition usually does yield faster times. I mean that was like college, right? Like in a nutshell, it was like you trained your butt off running intervals and sometimes they'd feel pretty hard and you'd be like, how on earth am I ever gonna do this? Like, you training for a 10K running like 10 by 1K intervals at pace and it still might feel pretty hard. And you're like, how am I ever gonna string this together all in a row? Like the workout is hard. But then it was always kind of like that magic of race day. You get on the track, the spikes are on, the competition is there, the pack is there, and you kind of get sucked along for the first half of it being like, oh, it feels like a tempo run, even though I'm running the same thing I do in practice, doing intervals. And yeah, I think competition, it it tends to bring out that next level in people. I think in terms of it making us faster overall, like with course records and things, I think there's kind of like, I think the big factor there is like, it kind of depends on like the people that were racing them when there was maybe a not so deep field and the people racing them now, because I think a lot of guys, they will go harder if there's people around them. If they're winning, it depends on the athlete. Like some athletes might kind of like, they might not like they might do enough to win but not go all out, and that's not really to knock people. It's just everybody kind of has a different philosophy and way they do that. So I think if we had a lot of guys who are like able to win races without going all out, those guys are potentially now being pushed more to like dig a little deeper and run faster, and I think that can result in faster times. But if you had guys who were like racing at the front and they were more racing the clock than their competition, then I don't know, maybe those guys, maybe their times won't be a ton faster because they were really good at pushing themselves solo. Um, but yeah, but I think most people, they have trouble getting like that last 10% out of themselves, and competition is what brings that out. And so yeah, I think it does help.
What is it about competition that you love so much?
I listened to a podcast with Max King the other day, and he was just saying like it's just fun to win. you know, I mean it is like it's
Yeah.
fun. Like that's why we do it, right? To try to see who's the best, and it's fun to be the guy that's the best, and you get all the attention, and you get all the like praise and claps, and like not that that's like not that that's all that matters, but it is just nice, like whether it's like arm wrestling or egg toss at a family reunion or a big race at Western States. It's fun. It's fun to win. It's an ego boost, and yeah, I think some people, they're just not very competitive. They're like, I don't really care. Like I maybe like enjoy doing the thing, but I don't feel a great drive to be the winner. You know, they just like enjoy. I don't know. They just enjoy running or like the process. But I think others of us are like wicked competitive, and we're just like, yeah, we love the thing, but largely love like competing. Um, so yeah, and I that's me. Like I grew up in team sports and stuff, and it was always like you were always trying to win, and yeah, it's just fun.
Talking about the team aspect of being on the North Face, which you've been on for I think 9 years now. How does that feel like a team for you? And do you feel a sense of pride when you're standing on the starting line and racing the people next to you, and some of them are your teammates?
It's great being on a team. Like you got buddies to text, people to like check in and be like, "Hey, how's trading going?" Or chat with when you have an injury or something you're dealing with. And then like, well, I mean, for the North Face specifically, we usually do a number of things throughout the year where all either all our athletes or at least some of our athletes get together. So that's like really fun to just kind of like have team bonding and be able to like train or just hang out or eat food or whatever. And North Face specifically, there's a lot of crossover. You get to interact with like a lot of the best skiers in the world, the best climbers in the world, the best alpinists in the world. And you can pick brains, and that little sort of like collaboration can lead to some cool stuff of like alpinists and runners kind of meshing together and sharing info and inspiring each other, maybe tackling projects together, or like climbers and runners crossing over or whatever. And so yeah, it's just neat to have that aspect and that dynamic. When it comes to run team specifically, I think our team does a good job of rooting each other on. We have a big team chat that we keep going. And yeah, it's nice to have like, it can be nice to have like teammates on the starting line. I mean, they're also competitors. So like there's a bit of like a competition factor there too of like you're still competing against each other, but you're also like, you're also from the same team, so it creates like some natural camaraderie, which is nice.
What role does curiosity play in your training and racing?
Probably a lot. I train without without a coach, so that gives me a lot of free reign to be curious and just try things. Not knocking coaching. I think it can be really valuable, but I also like I appreciate like the flexibility that self-coaching brings and like specific to curiosity, I think it enables you to be very curious. Like of course you could be curious alongside a coach and be like, hey, I was wondering about this and what could we do to explore this and whatnot. But when you're solo, yeah, it's really easy to be just like, okay, what happens if I run mega big volume for like a month or two? Or like what happens if I do high quality, low volume? And those are very like basic examples, but like, or what happens if I meld the two together? Or like what happens if I do 3 workouts a week? Or what happens if I do doubles or like you can just play with so many variables and just be curious to try to figure out what works for you. And you can be like, you can essentially just like turn yourself into a lab rat, which can be tricky because you're trying to perform well. But if you can separate enough from the desire to perform well, it's almost like to be truly curious and truly lab ratty, you have to almost like not care about the outcome, which is like hard, right? Because you don't want to blow a race, but you also want to figure out what might be possible. So it's like kind of like I try not to like people get really I feel like sometimes it feels like we're really critical about how we train, like that there's a right way to train, and it's like, oh, and then we judge each other like, ah, oh, he's an idiot, he shouldn't be doing like 3 threshold workouts a week, or like, oh, he shouldn't be doing like this, or she shouldn't be running that many miles, like, or that many hours. And I try not, like, it's easy to do that to people, but I try not to be too critical of people because, um, in that way, I mean, not that I am like, not that I don't get critical. Like, I remember seeing something the other week or a few months ago or so and talking to a buddy about it. I was like, man, I was looking at this thing that, someone was doing. I was like, man, it was just like so much. Like, I don't know. But I like will probably like say, I'll be like, but who knows? Like, maybe it'll work. Like, I'm skeptical, but I also like don't want to knock it too much. So like, because I think where we learn to some degree, not all of our learning, but I like to think that some of our learning comes on the fringes. It comes from the people playing and being curious and doing the things that everyone else is like, well, that's ridiculous, or that's going to burn you out, or that's just going to be like, that's not going to work. And it's like, yeah, maybe like 80% of the time it's not going to work, or 90% or 95% of the time it's not going to work. But like once in a while, someone's probably going to find something that is like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't expect it, but that actually worked. Or it didn't quite work, but there was a piece of it that was like very valuable. And we can now take that piece and apply it. So I appreciate people like being curious and playing around on the fringes. And I would say I I feel like I'm a curious person myself, and I take some risks. Um, and I kind of enjoy doing that, but there's also this drive to like have a good race, so like it can be a little hard. There's a little give and take there.
What have you learned about yourself from being curious?
Well, I've probably learned that, and maybe I knew this, but like you can end up doing too much. I have a buddy in Oregon who's a former pro cyclist, and I'll talk about like, yeah, like as you get further in your career, it'd be kind of fun to just play around with stuff and like be like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure out how to be the fastest I can be with the least amount of training. You know, like that would be a fun game to play. But you could go like, on that end, you could do too little and be like, yeah, I didn't race very well, you know. And on the other end, you could be like, oh, I'm gonna find out like what the most. So I guess like obviously I've probably shown or hinted to myself that like, yeah, you can go too far on the ends and you can do too much or you can like do not enough. Maybe I've learned that like sometimes you can like surprise yourself and you can like take some pretty crummy situations and get something like pretty good out of it that you like. I had a knee or I have a knee issue because it's just kind of like an issue that isn't really gonna completely fix itself with current like medical technology. Um, and I mean, I was like in offices with doctors where they're just kind of like, they're just kind of giving you the like, yeah, we don't really fix this. Like, and you run a lot. Like, it isn't really good for running. Like, it's kind of up to you of like how much pain you can take. Um, and then getting in like the camp of like, well, with doctors who are like, oh, well, we can do this, and like PTs like, oh, you can strengthen this and you can work on this, and then like being curious enough or maybe stubborn enough to want to keep running to pursue those paths of like, okay, I'm going to work on my mobility and I'm going to work on my strength and my stability, and finding that like, oh wow, this thing that I thought was going to be like maybe a death sentence to my career actually doesn't have to be. I don't know if I really credit that more to curiosity or stubbornness or just like desire to keep going. Maybe more stubbornness and desire to keep going, but there is probably a bit of a curious element in there of like, like I wonder if this doctor could be right, or like, I wonder what happens if like the exercise that currently seems to hurt, if I do it enough, maybe I like get the mobility back, get the strength, and then like eventually it like actually does better. Um, and so yeah, I feel like that's kind of been what I've been doing over like the past year.
With the injuries and surgeries you've had, does the return to canyons and the successful race you had there, and now the lining up at Western States, like is it that much sweeter because you've had the valleys along the way?
Yeah, in ways, because like I had a moment where like I was a fearful. Now fear is like the tough thing, right? Because it's sort of an alarmist. It's like, ah, no, we can't do this. Um, it can blow things out of proportion. Yeah, because I had a moment where I was like, shoot, is it is this the end? Like, can I do this sport anymore? So yeah, in a sense, it does. Like, it does feel sweeter and like, and just like very grateful. Just like, okay, like I was afraid this was disappearing, so I'm now like very grateful that it's continuing. And like I said, like it's not like I'm in the clear. So every race that like I managed to like train for and every race I managed to like finish, and especially any race I managed to have a good race, it's like okay, like none of those things were guaranteed, and so like I'm really grateful that they were able to occur. Um, so yeah, there definitely is like a sense of like gratitude and sort of like meaningfulness.
More on the mental side, you appear to be very mentally tough in races in particular. Where does that tenacity and strength come from with your ability to just suffer seemingly more than most?
I mean, I think partly there's just like a great desire to like achieve what I want to achieve, like to win the race or to qualify for the next race or um to beat that person. I think it helps that like I've had moments of success. I know what it feels like to like win a big race. And that's like I will admit it's like that's like a pretty like addictive thing.
This episode is brought to you by Go Brewing. I've been a fan for years and have gotten to know their CEO, so I mean it when I say that this stuff is good and the company is too. They make non-alcoholic beer that actually tastes like beer. Real IPAs, lagers, and hazies, brewed by a small family team outside Chicago. Most cans are under 60 calories with no added sugar. Try the Jab Jab Grapefruit IPA, the New School Sour Berry, or the Baller Melon to get started. Order direct at gobrewing.com and use the code FTLR2026 for 20% off your first order. That's FTLR2026 at gobrewing.com. It helps the show when you use that code. How do you push through that desire, right? Let's say you're at the 50K at Robinson Flat and you're like, oh, I feel flat and I don't feel great. And you have 70 miles left to go. How do you contextualize that and how do you push through a low point?
I had a low point at Canyons like shortly after Forest Hill, like basically after Forest Hill, I just started feeling like not so good, and like Hayden caught me and he looked great, and I was like, oh, like I don't know if I can run with this guy. And it was really tempting to just kind of like let that one go. Or not necessarily let it go, but just sort of like, let the foot off the gas. Um, but like it was a huge help to have Hayden come up on me because I was like, man, I don't even know if I can run with this guy. He looks so good and I feel not good. And then I was just like, well, I'm just gonna do it. Like you just have to do it. So I was like, I'm just gonna like run with him. And I did. And what I found was like eventually I was like, oh wait, okay, now I've hit a little groove and like now I don't feel as bad and like sometimes actually running faster is almost like feels better than running slower. Um so yeah, I think I wasn't necessarily thinking it in the moment, but I think what maybe helps is to remember that like this doesn't necessarily like last. Like just because I feel bad now doesn't mean I'm going to feel bad for the next 25 miles. So you can kind of harness that a bit and be like, hey, I just got to like push through this bad patch and get to the good patch. Um, and like this can turn around and I can do things to help it. Like I can drink and I can eat and I can, do things to actually make it better. So, but I think there's just also like, there's like a huge mental thing. And that's something I feel like I've tried to been paying attention to in training. Like I'll be out training and I'll be coming down, especially for me, it especially happens on descents. Like I start to hurt and I'm coming down a descent and I'm like, man, my legs hurt, like my knees hurt, like things just hurt. And I'm like, wait, but like I've learned that I can kind of flip that switch mentally. I'll be like, yeah, but I can just like commit to like running smoother and faster here. And I find that I actually even potentially feel better than it. And I'm just like, this isn't really like a physical thing holding me back. It's a mental thing. I've like started to feel bad. So now my brain feels bad. And so now my brain is shutting my body down. And I'll just try to flip that switch back off and be like, no, like I'm physically capable. Like I don't need to be braking like I am. I can actually run this descent with authority, and so I'll try to flip that switch in training. And I think in racing it can be the same. Like the pain, once the pain sets in, the brain I feel like tries to shut the body down and trying to figure out like, okay, I'm responding because like there's pain, but it's not necessarily fatigue, you know? And so then you kind of like flip that and be like, okay, well let's just let's just like decide to kind of like ignore the pain, run with better form and rhythm, and we'll probably actually have less pain and we'll actually feel better and we'll run a lot faster.
Did it take a while to put that into practice and to figure out how to flip that switch?
I mean, I feel like I'm still practicing it, practicing flipping that switch. But to figure it out, I think it just sort of comes from experience, like over the years. Um, I think one of the big ways I learned it was racing Andorra one year. I was under the impression that I had like a good cushion, and I got to the last aid station. I looked behind me, and the aid station workers were like, "Yeah, the second place is right there." And I was like, "No way, like you're joking." And he was like right there. But then like the fear and the competitive set in, and I just took off. And I went from like basically hobbling to like running this like strong descent down this technical steep section. And I was like, and that kind of, that was like a eye-opening moment for me. I was like, oh wow, like look at Endora where I like felt so bad, but then I so quickly turned it around because I just like mentally chose to. And then the physical followed once I did that. So yeah, I would say it's just something I've kind of like noticed over time through training and racing, like over years of training and racing, and have maybe more recently been tapping into it and being like, okay, don't run this slow because like you don't need to be. And then like taking off.
What does that unlock, if anything, in other parts of your life outside of running?
I think just like any like moment where like I don't know, like life is full of hard work and tiring moments, and like whether it's like a long cross country road trip or a long day of chores at the house or or like training hard and then going on to do something else, like whether it's I don't know, just like could be grocery shopping, could be cooking dinner, could be like taking care of the other people in your life, like just to sit down and be like or just to be able to be like, yeah, I'm tired and I'm mentally like don't want to be here, but that flip that I switch when I train and I run, like I can do that here in this space and get this thing done. Um, so yeah, I think it can be super useful. Um, Still not to say easy, but yeah, it can definitely be applied to just like any busy, chaotic, hard, tiring life circumstance.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the beauty of running, right? We can figure out how to get through the hard things in life by getting through the hard things in running, where we're choosing this discomfort. Um, Whereas in life, sometimes that discomfort is a little bit less optional.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's not just running. It's sport in general. It's like it could be soccer, it could be football, it could be basketball, it could be climbing, skiing, mountaineering, like all that my wife played ultimate frisbee at like a pretty high level. And she's told me about how before they would always say like the average point, the average time to score a point in ultimate takes like I forget what she said, if it was like 7 minutes. That sounds way too long for me. Maybe it's like a minute or like 30 seconds or something. And so like the team used to be like, okay, we only have to like we have to really focus and go super hard for like whatever it was, like 45 seconds. Like that's really like all we need, um, to like score the average point. And so and I think that's like a similar mindset. Like, you're like, look, we just have to zone in like right now and lock in for like the next bit and we can do it.
Love it. What does success mean to you?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's maybe different kinds of success. There can be success in just like did you attain something that you were satisfied with? Like that can be success. Like, cuz like you could you could place 36th in a race and be like, "Hey, that was success." Cuz like to me, I was going to be thrilled if I finished in the top 50. And so you're satisfied with like anything in the top 50 and you get 36th and it's like you by no means won the race, but that can still be success. And then there's like more objective success of like, um, or more like maybe societal objective success of like, well, success is winning. Success is being the guy who finishes first. And so you can have that type of success. But then it's just sort of whatever you define, like, I guess, kind of define it to be. Like, I don't know if success, like the term success really fits into a box. We always try to put things in boxes, like, and I just like,
Not a
I'm
box
not.
guy, despite being an engineer.
No, no, no. Like I think I maybe grew up in a little bit more of a box culture, like, and not necessarily because like I don't know if my parents really crafted a box culture. I think I maybe more grew up in a culture and a society, um, that sort of like utilized the box,
It's
and so I
clean, it's
felt like
predictable. Yeah.
so I like felt like I was like into boxes, like, cause that's almost easier. Like life is almost easier in a box mentality. Like, okay, just tell me what's right and what's wrong, and like I'll just do the stuff that's right, and then like I'll feel satisfied, and like I'll feel like I'm good. But that only like takes you so far in life, because then you get to a point where you're like, wait a second, like most of the time the boxes don't work, like because life is more gray and dynamic than that. And so then you're kind of like, well, shoot, now I have to think on my own, and I have to like figure this out without like a checklist. And it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of how life works. So, yeah, so I think for me, like success doesn't, like the term of success doesn't necessarily fit in a box very well either. It's just like it can look a lot of different ways. And I guess ultimately it's kind of like, did you achieve like what you wanted, or maybe even sometimes you don't achieve what you want, but you still achieve something of value. Um, so, and that can be deemed success. But like, I don't think we don't also need to like, it's okay to look at something and be like, that was unsuccessful. Like, we don't have to frame everything as like, well, I didn't win, but it was successful because I tried hard. Like, if that's important to you, you can do that. But also, if you're like, well, I just wanted to win, I mean, you can say, yeah, that was unsuccessful and I'm not happy with it, and that's okay too.
Love it. I have a couple quick hitter questions to wrap things up here today. I appreciate your time chatting through all this.
Yep.
As it relates to Western states, are you hoping for a hot year or a cool year?
Oh man. I am a cool weather guy.
Yeah.
I am intrigued by the heat, and like have enjoyed the curious side of me has enjoyed taking on this sort of new project of like, my past projects have more been like vert races, and it's like, oh, okay, that's maybe a little in my wheelhouse. Western is like, oh man, it's intimidating. I think heat is like one of the most intimidating factors. Like it is that element that actually like can kill you. Like you can get heat stroke. Like, you can like die from heat. I mean, you can die from cold too, but usually we carry extra gear. You can run harder. You can do things. I guess I'm like a work hard guy, and you can kind of almost work hard to get out of being cold. But in heat, you have to like,
Yeah, you can't.
working hard just makes you hotter basically. And we're trying to run a race and beat each other and beat the clock, so it's kind of like very contradictory. um so yeah, I'm generally say I'm a cool weather guy. I run well in the cool. I like the cool. But I've enjoyed tackling the project of the heat aspect, and I guess I won't be mad if we wake up race morning, the forecast says it's going to be 60 degrees the whole race.
Something tells
I
me that won't
don't
be happening.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
yeah, to answer your question, I won't be mad if the forecast is cool.
If it's
Um
only 95.
but but I think I'll also be like missing out a little if it's cool, because like
Yeah.
I won't get to experience that new challenge of like, okay, how can I do in a truly hot race? And that's, oh, it's like scary and intimidating, but it's also exciting in the sense of that like it's a new challenge.
Love it. Predictions or a dark horse expectation for the women's race? I won't ask you about the men's race.
I mean, I might be a bit biased because we're friends and former teammates, and still, I guess, current teammates via working with Sunto. But I'm very curious to see how Jen Lichter does.
I knew you were going to
Um,
say that, and I was
and
thinking the same thing.
I'm a big Jen fan. She's an awesome person, awesome runner, like so much talent, like such good wheels, like true fast wheels. But also like so much strength. And we have not seen her at this distance. We haven't really I guess we've seen her maybe in the heat a bit at Trans Gran Canaria racing in the shorter distances. Um, but yeah, I think I really want to see like I think Jen could win the race. I think Jen could also have a big day of learning. But I'll be rooting for Jen to win the race. um, I'm very curious to see how she does. I mean, she's one runner that like I don't follow every runner on Strava, but like Jen and I are friends, and like I follow her, and some days I look at her training and I'm like, would I keep up? Like, I'm like, no, honestly, some days I sit there and analyze runs that she does, and I'm like, do I go much faster than that? Like, like would I have gotten dropped on that run, or like that is maybe about my normal pace. So, and of course, it's hard to judge this from afar. You know, she's training in Missoula, I'm training other places. You know, the comparison game is a dangerous slope to follow. But no, super impressed, and curious to see how she does.
I had a chat with her on this podcast last year, and just such a big fan of hers and how she's going about the sport and the her own personal journey that's gotten her to where she is today. It's just really cool to see, and it's really easy to be a fan of hers.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Just like awesome story from like her childhood to now, and like if people aren't familiar with it, they should look into it.
I'll link
Incredible
it.
story.
Yeah,
And then just also like her personality. Like if you ever hang out with Jen, she is just like,
she won a
oh,
beer mile last year.
she's just a hoot. Like she is like I think she's a bit of a weirdo in ways, but she like embraces who she is, and it's just it. I think it's great when people are a bit weird, and like it makes life fun. So,
I agree.
yeah,
Find your weird.
yeah.
How thrilled would you be if the North Face 50 returned, and would you race it?
Oh man, I think I'd almost have to race it. Yeah, like I think if we wanted that race to stay when it got axed, and man, it's like it's weird that like that's still the race people bring up and people talk about that race, and like that was like the race of the I might have used to call it that. It was like the race of the dead. It was like the last big race of the season after we had all
All the
obliterated
banged up
ourselves
athletes.
like all spring and all summer, and you just carded like you did one more training block, carded the last bits of your fitness and health, you know, to North Face 50, and just threw down. And if you could write your season, if you could manage your season right and be the guy that showed up to that race healthy and like not too tired, like magical things could happen. Um, but like it yeah, it was just so fun. It was like the last hurrah of the year. At least in like North America. Um, and yeah, I think if they brought it back, I would almost have to run it. It was such a cool race, such fun trails, such like yeah, like that running community there in like the Mill Valley area is such a good vibe. Yeah, it would be amazing if they could bring it back, but yeah, we'll see.
What shoe are you looking forward to racing in?
At States,
Yeah,
yeah, I will most likely race in the North Face Pro Vective Pro 4. It's the prototype of the next Pro 4 that will be coming out in the future. We're currently on the Pro 3, but I'm a sample size and do a lot of wear testing for them, and so I raced Canyons in the Pro 4, and it worked great. So there's a really good chance I will race in that for Western. I think it's probably even better suited to Western than it was to Canyons. Um, on deck, I will have a Alta Mesa 500.
I love that
Which
shoe.
I actually, yeah, it's so comfortable, so great. Actually, I just took it to Moab and I was like, this is like the
Yeah,
perfect Moab shoe
yeah.
because it's grippy on the rocks and there's so much stinking hard slick rock in there. And the Ultra Mesa is just like so flexible and cushioned. I was like, this is like the such a great Moab shoe. Even though it's like bigger, but it's just like you're just comfortable in it. So I actually, some days I'm like, should I wear that at Western? Because it is just so comfortable and such a good, like, just like feels good. Like it just feels good. But I'll probably have that on deck and I'll probably have the Pro 4 on and then I'll probably keep an Endurus 4 on deck as well because that's just like a really solid, like, that shoe can work for pretty much anything. But yeah, the Pro 4 works great at Canyon, so I think I should probably like roll with that, and that's been feeling good in training.
Awesome. Zach, appreciate the chat. And for those who are spectating in person, what would you love people to shout at you as you run by?
Go Birds. That's the only thing they have to shout. Go Birds. I didn't grow up in Philly, but I grew up 90 minutes outside,
Yeah.
and like am infatuated with Philadelphia and Philadelphia sports culture. Um, so in Philadelphia, Go Birds, like for people who don't know, it's like what we say for to cheer for the Eagles, but it's so much more than that. Like Go Birds is like our universal like hello, how you doing, goodbye, I love you, like go birds, like the team better win this weekend. Like, but it just works for like everything. It's just like a universal greeting. So if you yell go birds at me at Western States 100, I will be like very jazzed.
As a Pats fan, I may have to edit that out, but maybe I'll just maybe I'll leave it in. But
Yeah.
Zach, appreciate the chat, and we'll see
Yeah.
you out
Well,
there.
we did, like, you have a bird of ours now, so
Yeah, true, true.
hopefully he serves you well.
Yeah, enjoy the
So
draft pick.
yeah. So yeah. I think we're pumped on that, but I don't know. You always try to be pumped on something. So
Yeah, cool. Zach, appreciate
so
it, and enjoy these next few weeks, and have a day out there.
okay, I'll try. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode. Like many long runs with friends, it's sad when it has to end. Join us next time as we continue to share inspiring stories from the running community. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or training partner who you think would like it too. This podcast was produced by Emma Benner of Sandy Boy Productions with musical composition by Brian Walters of Single Track Sound. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you out there.